What is the point of the Liberal Democrats? Margaret.
Silence. In a democracy, pluralism is a good thing. I think in the current context of where we are today, as the Conservative Party is in such an unholy mess that it's, first of all, not just diminished in number, but it's also sort of riven and, we've got
Still
this
got 50 more than the Lib Dems.
Yeah, but, they are so divided, and this whole leadership contest is such a farce with, whoever they choose the last two, we know that the party will go for the most extremist individual who emerges.
The Labour Party did in 2015.
Indeed, and they should learn from that.
Yeah,
they should learn, and I absolutely agree with that.
But you don't think any of these four...
Yeah, the extreme Jeremy Corbyn, the very extreme Jeremy Corbyn, who offered a return to the post-war consensus and some basic social democracy after 45 years of neoliberalism. Or 40 at the time, I guess. Yeah, how extreme Mr. Corbyn was in his time as leader, offering some nationalisation and ethical foreign policy, but not actually changing very much constitutionally. Wow, how very extreme. That's definitely as extreme as wanting to extricate ourselves from the European Convention on Human Rights, for example. It's so weird. And again, she says, oh, well, they should learn from that because, of course, the extremists lost. I'm like, yeah, because people like you deliberately undermined him. You admitted on the newsagents months ago that you would have done anything to stop him from being Prime Minister.
I always had it was a red line for me, if I'm honest. It was a red line. I stood in that election. But had there been any possibility of him becoming Prime Minister, I would have used my position to try and stop that happening.
There you go. Straight from the horse's mouth, right? It was never a conspiracy. They were never going to let him become Prime Minister. You were the wrecker. We now know from the Anushka Astana article that people within the party were literally palming off stories to the press to try and smear the party to stop the election from being won by the Labour Party, because the biggest thing they feared was a Labour government. People like Margaret Hodge were actively working against the party from winning the election, and they admit it as much. They clearly admit it. So everybody from the Labour right who did that, you can blame them for all of the damage that Boris Johnson, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak did to the country, because they were the ones who helped undermine the party during that period. Thanks, well done. Because it was so extreme for wanting us to have national ownership of our critical industries.
Was it extreme as Jeremy Corbyn,
actually,
do you?
They're not as bad as Liz Truss. Well, Liz Truss was pretty extreme, and that was who they voted for last time. So,
not one of them is remotely as potentially damaging to the United Kingdom as Jeremy Corbyn
she was pretty damaging.
No, the four.
That's the crazy thing that people like Guto Hari will just say. Oh, well, Jeremy Corbyn was so dangerous. The country is very dangerous because it's received wisdom at this point. In the mainstream media circles, it's entirely received wisdom that Jeremy Corbyn was a danger to the country, a danger to society, would have destroyed us. Whether it be because he backed ethical foreign policy rather than being in favour of British imperialism, that's going to be a danger to our national security, even though there's no evidence of this, just because he criticised things like the Iraq War and blowback leading to things like 7/7, for example. Or he's dangerous because it would have crashed the economy for advocating for expansionary policy whilst we were in a liquidity trap. The thing that any normal government would do in a liquidity trap, because we had pushed interest rates to literal zero and we still weren't getting growth. We still had stagnant growth even with interest rates absolute zero. If anything, the only thing that would have saved the economy would be a Jeremy Corbyn prime ministership. The only thing that would have done so. But because it's received wisdom that the big jam man is big bad man, they don't have to qualify it. They just go, Jeremy Corbyn was dangerous because he's bad. And that was the whole point. That was the whole point of the campaign against Jeremy Corbyn. The whole point of the smears and the lies that everybody told about him was to try and put the left back in a box. And then they label the box as either anti-Semitic or economically illiterate, even though neither of those things are true. And then anytime anybody from the left tries to voice their opinion in politics, they don't have to be treated as being worthy of discussion. They don't have to be treated as a serious political actor, not because any of their claims have any merit, but because it delegitimizes something that would inconvenience capital and what links everybody in our media sector, or they're all agents of capital. All the big mainstream media industries, all owned by very, very rich people who have plenty to lose from being taxed slightly more so that we have a properly functioning NHS, for example.
people
to the economy.
on offer at the moment, not one of them is as dangerous to modern Britain as Jeremy Corbyn was. Any one of those four would be preferable to government led by Jeremy Corbyn.
In fact, I think you'll probably vote for any of those.
And there she goes. Yeah. Every one of the Tories would be preferable to Jeremy Corbyn. Any four of them, including Kemi Badenoch. And this is Margaret Hodge, a member of Parliament for the Labour Party, admitting, basically, without even thinking, yeah, Kemi Badenoch, she'd be better as a Prime Minister than Jeremy Corbyn. Someone who wants to actually destroy our economy by just deregulating it to high hell, who is insanely socially reactionary, especially against transgender people. And here she is, as supposedly a member of a progressive party, who, even somebody like Alan Johnson, who was from the right wing of the Labour Party, who hated Jeremy Corbyn, said that Margaret Hodge echoed the sentiments of the BNP. And here she is, as a Labour representative, saying, yeah, Kemi Badenoch would be a better Prime Minister than Jeremy Corbyn. This is the people that you elected. Everyone who voted Labour, you voted for this. Everybody who voted Labour, this is what you wanted. I'm glad you've got what you wanted, because now the pensioners are losing their winter fuel payments. We're not going to have the 2-child benefit cap removed, and we're off flying to Italy to have meetings with Giorgia Meloni about immigration policy. Are you enjoying what you ordered? I'm not.
Rather than Jeremy Corbyn, wouldn't you? Anyway,
I'm not going to answer that. Let me just say
we'll save that for our podcast next week.
Can I just have the...
Ooh, podcast. Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it funny how Ian Dale's podcast, Ian Dale, the person who believes that Margaret Thatcher is the greatest political figure in UK history, there's a reason why his podcast is absolutely stuffed to brim with members of the Labour right. Like, historically, it had always been done with Jackie Smith, a darling of the Labour right. Expenses scandal, Jackie Smith. Remember that one? Who, after saying that she was a disgrace and shouldn't be a lord, now then was given a peerage and now sits in the government, having been appointed into the Department of Education. After all of that, having all the expenses scandals from before, she was the co-host for Ian Dale's podcast. And now they keep doing guest hosts. Oh, they've got Jonathan Ashworth and Fangham Debonair, haven't they? Oh, yes, they've had all of the people who were so hated that the electorate didn't want them. And now they want Margaret Hodge, somebody who is too right-wing even for Alan Johnson. Because the Labour right, they're just they're part of the big club. You're not part of the big club. I'm not part of the big club. Those people in chat, they're not part of the big club. Labour right and all of our mainstream media darlings, though, they definitely are part of the big club. Very happy to accept invitation to the Spectator Garden Party. Did you get yours in the mail-in home? No, you didn't. Yeah, because you don't matter, do you? Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.